And now for those online, now that I've unmuted, welcome to the ELKR Rotary Club. It's a beautiful spring day out there, a little bit of April showers bring May flowers or something like that. We'll see. But Pete, what do May flowers bring? We know. Pilgrims, yes, there we go. I almost screwed that up. My first dad joke of the day, and almost messed it up. Okay, Fran Connor, could you come up and give us some thoughtful words, please?
Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to be here. I was thinking when I first came in and there were not a lot of people at the table, so I'm like, whoo, everybody's on spring break, but you all came. So please bow your head with me as we pray. Dear, wise, and loving God, first let me say thank you on behalf of all our Rotarians and guests who are gathered here today. Thank you for the food we are enjoying and for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for your beautiful creation, even for April showers, as we know they will soon bring May flowers. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of health we need to fulfill our callings, for sustenance and endurance as we travel through this life, and for friendships we have made among ourselves here. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Thanks as well for the freedoms we have to live in our country and the freedom we have to embrace you or to reject you, Lord. Thank you for loving us even so from your boundless and gracious nature. In the scripture, you have said that citizens ought to obey the governing authorities since you have established those very authorities to promote peace and order and justice. I pray especially for our country and for the various levels of officials governing our cities and states and our country, and we pray also for those governing our world. I pray you would grant all of the leaders wisdom to govern well amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, a sense of the welfare and true needs of the people of our country and around the world, especially in Ukraine and Russia right now. Give all leaders a thirst for justice and rightness. Give them confidence in doing what is good and fitting. Give our leaders the ability to work together in harmony, even when there is honest disagreement. We also ask God that you would give each of us a personal peace in our lives and joy in our tasks. We want to live life to its fullest, and we do not take a day for granted, for nobody is promised tomorrow. Thank you, God, for all good things that flow from you. Amen. And now the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the fourth test. Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, Fran, very much. Thank you, thank you. I heard two good words that stuck with me, good and fitting, through that. And one of those happened to be from Garrick Langford, who did the setup this morning, and welcome you all here. Garrick's going to come up and introduce our guests, but I wanted to point out that Garrick put the bell to my right. So I am certain that Garrick is such a detail-oriented person. He noticed that I'd been struggling with the left-handed bell strike because I'm right-handed. And so he put it to my right. And do you notice how much crisper that ring was this morning? That was it. So thank you for the little things, Garrick. And that's why it worked out. See, that's a complimentary. I knew it. I was going to joke about that, but I should have known. Hey, do you want to come up and introduce our guests real quick?
I apologize. I'm having a hard time reading the writing here, but it's Jill Yoder is a guest. Be introduced by Bill Reed.
We've got Jill Yoder for Crossroads Generally. She has our education.
Anybody else have a guest?
And I'll welcome, thank you, Garrett. And I will welcome Doug Grant, visiting Rotarian from the Wawasee Club. Thanks, Doug, for being here today. And Jill, thanks for coming today. Bill, did you just say that she had no other plans for lunch, so you invited her for lunch today? It's a great day to be at Rotary. So sometimes it doesn't need a big reason. Just come and join. Just come and join us for lunch. Perfect. Let's see. Wanted to welcome the folks online here, and I had spun the camera around a little bit more, but here we'll do just a quick little view so everyone in here can see. We've got Andrea, Tina, Connie, Mike Cristofino, Paul, Stephen, who I'm guessing is Rakonen, and Randy Foster. Nice to see you all. I know you were on camera earlier, but and Mandy, even though you don't have your audio, it's nice to see you there in person. This is great. And Bob Yeoman, who's probably not in the best position there to be watching a Zoom meeting. Looks like he's standing by some piece of large equipment. But yeah, that's good. All right. Okay. Back to us here. Excellent. Okay, if anyone has any announcements, please come up. While they're doing that, just a couple of quick announcements. J&K Kissinger Award. We had mentioned that a couple weeks ago. Scott Puckett, who has chaired that in the past, as well as several others from our club. That is an award that our club gives away. If you know of someone within this club that you'd like to nominate for that award, and it's kind of Rotarian of the Year for our district 6540. It is sent out to all of our district Rotarians and the leadership, and so we're hoping to get a few nominations from those clubs. I've had a few inquiries, but it's never a bad thing if it's someone from our club too, right? I don't know the last time someone from our club won. It was probably not too long ago, but last year it was a Rotarian from Goshen. So if you want any more information, I'll send more out, but also that can be found at our website. The award will be presented at the May 20th and 21st District Conference, which is at Notre Dame. That'll be on Friday night at the dinner. If you'd like to attend, you're welcome to do that. There's a registration form online. I will send that out. And I will be attending, if no one else does, as to represent our club and to also present that award on Friday the 20th. Upcoming meetings. This Friday we have a board meeting. We're going to meet everybody at ELKR Health and Aquatics, as we have been doing typically the first quarter, I should say typically for the last 2 quarters. We've met off-site, but this time we're going to meet there, and I'm going to feed you at ELKR Health and Aquatics. It's just so much easier to set up. It's so much more conducive to meeting, and especially for those online who may need to join us at 7 a.m. on Friday, it's just so much easier. And as a reminder, everyone is welcome to join us if you'd like. Next week, we have Shannon Oakes, the Gifts Officer for Beacon Health Foundation, and I believe Susan is going to be presenting as Executive Director of the Foundation, as well as one of the nurses from the hospital talking about the need for nursing. I know many of you are aware of that. April 18th, we're having Chris Seymour, the Chief of Police, and on April 25th, Judge Chris Spataro. And these are all thanks to Jim Rickoff, who's gotten the speakers for the month of April. Thank you for doing that. All right, any other announcements? Good for now, okay, good. Look for announcements of social activities and other things coming up. We've got a handful of those. And I also wanted to make note of a service opportunity. Tom, I forgot, was it 6th or 7th? It's the May 7th. It's the first Saturday in May. That will be our County Road 6, both east and west cleanups. And but do look for some other things. And thanks, Tom, for organizing that again. I know that's a good time for everybody in the spring. And we were waiting on a date to work with our high school volunteers to make sure they could be there that day. Okay. All right, each week we raise a little bit of funds for our not-for-profits, and today we're going to raise some more with Sergeant Anthony Hunt, the captain of the sergeants. that right? I don't know my ranking. Is captain above sergeants? Okay, I'm not sure either. First off, I'd like to say I'm really tired of people complaining about the price of everything, like $2 for coffee, $3 for coat check, $4 for an hour of parking. So I'd just like to say right now, I'm going to stop inviting you all to my house. Eric. Yes, sir. Just as a footnote, to those people who might be on camera, I would just like to say, when you come in and move things drastically, it's a little disconcerting. So for those of you who still have your lunch, congratulations. That'll be $1 for you. Little panning might, there's a reason it's a little slower. What's the difference between a vegan and a computer programmer? One is disgusted by a rack of lamb, the other is disgusted by a lack of RAM. Yeah, that's how it's going to be today. I'm just saying. Speaking of disgusted, many of you probably didn't see that slap last week. Actually, it was several slaps. Tom MacArthur, I think I saw you at this. What were we at together? A concert? A silent movie. The Kimball Organ Night at the Movies with the organist Clark Wilson. I thought it's sort of interesting that a few weeks ago, we happened to see a car that Charlie Chaplin drove around in, or was probably driven around in, that we saw at this performance at the Lerner Thursday night. The Immigrant from 1917, The Kid from 1921, Charlie Chaplin's first feature film in his own studio. It was wonderful. If you have not been to one of those concerts to see that organ and that performance, not necessarily that one before, but it's only one of 3 Kimball organs that are still functionally operating, then hey, pay $1. You need to make that a point. It's a great thing here in our community. Make sure we enjoy it. Seeing the Kid made me think of our guest that we're going to have shortly, Kevin Deary. He's been helping kids for nearly 40 years, 28 of them here in Elkhart County. The most impressive thing to me is he's done it working for so many different boards. So for those of you, and he can explain this more, but for those of you who have a board, show of hands, who answer to a board. Okay, to those of you, keep it up. For those of you who have at least 10, right? More than 10, more than 20, more than 30. Kevin, how many do you have board members for?
117.
So for anybody who does not have as many board members as Kevin has to keep having, put in $1. Speaking of kids, there were some amazing performances last night. And what am I talking about? Not the Grammys. It was how convincingly South Carolina women's basketball team beat the University of Connecticut. And if you didn't watch any of that game, that was pretty amazing. Pay it up. Speaking of some of award shows, this past week, NPR actually won a number of awards in a program called the AMBIES, a celebration of the excellence in podcasting and elevating awareness and status of podcasts as a unique and personal medium. They won for Best Newscast, program called Up First, for a podcast for Best Self-Help called Life Kit, which we happen to carry Sundays at 9 on HD2, and Best Podcast Host Sam Sanders for It's Been a Minute, Saturdays at 5 on HD2. It's a shame because he's also left NPR to go work for Vox. Show of hands of anybody who's heard of Vox Media. Okay, show of hands, anybody who's heard of NPR. Yeah, if you didn't raise your hand, that's $1. And heck, you ought to give to your favorite local public NPR affiliate while you're at it, like I'm going to have to for paying for this plug. Okay, Ham, almost at the end of this. Does the name Rube Goldberg ring a bell? If so, what does it do after that? If you can't think of anything, pay $1.
And finally, several Rotarians have begged me to stop making police-related puns, so I promise to give it a rest. Thank you.
That had one of the best groan factors at the end. That was everybody's getting used to that. No, that's not a good thing. Okay. Each week we are going to be celebrating a Rotarian. You know, there's a few of us who've been in the club more than 6 years. Who's been in the club more than 6 years? How about 10? How about 20? How about 30? 40? 50? We've got 3 folks I see right now with their hands raised, and one of them is Shan White. And Shan, I would like you to come up, and let's everybody give Shan a round of applause for 57 years. 57 years. And we're going to do this each week with a couple folks. We'll have Doug Putnam next week, but Shan, 57 years.
I know.
Can you consolidate that to 2 minutes?
No. No, I cannot. Yeah, 50 years seems like a long time, but if you're enjoying what you're doing, it seems more like 49. There are 7 members who have been 50-year members of Elkhart Rotary on the website, and you can find that easily. If you need help, let Eric know. We have 7 that by July 1, many in this room, even some in this room even now, that will also be members of this club, or a combination of other clubs as well as our own, of 50 years. So that brings our totals to 14. I think that's pretty remarkable. We have friendship, we have fellowship, we have acquaintances, and many of you I would never have known other than through Rotary. Rotary has been a blessing for me in many, many ways, and actually it's been a joy. We hope someday soon we'll hear from Mo. We'd like to hear from you, Mo, because many of your years were in California. We'd like to know how we compare to the club in California, what activities you were involved in. That would be interesting to us. I've decided not to look at my notes. I have 3 pages of notes because I want to leave time for the Boys and Girls Club director. In the 60s and 70s, the board of directors were meeting in homes, and the host wife would be preparing that meal. I know in Floran's case, she worked all day on that evening meal, and adult beverages were served, those that wanted them. That changed. Sometimes we met at Elkona, and we've met several places around the city of Elkhart. In 1973, when I was handed the gavel, we had 149 members. We're shy of that by perhaps 25 or so now, and we understand why. When I turned that gavel over to the next president, Ken Ingram, so far as I know, is still living somewhere in Georgia. We had 155 members, so we had a net gain of 6. I think we initiated 24 members into the club that year, and we had 18 resignations, and that was pretty common. Elkhart was a very thriving community at that time. Unemployment practically zero, and it was a booming community. The day that I was asked to be a candidate as a Rotary member here in this city, I asked a question that I think many people are still asking, and that's why I mention it. I said to Dr. C. Richard Yoder, who was my sponsor, "What's Rotary?" I knew of Lions, and I had heard of Kiwanis, and I had heard of other service clubs, but somehow Rotary, I had not heard. I think we still need to tell the story. And of course, the landmark project, of course, is the Wellfield Botanic Garden. And through that, we can do a lot. If you've had guests from out of town, and they haven't been to the Wellfield Garden, shame on you. You should take them there. You know, in just a few days now, maybe a week or 3, we'll be seeing daffodils, then eventually tulips. It'll be a beautiful place to visit. And aren't we special that we would have 2 Erics? First, Eric Amp, and now Eric Garten directing that effort. It's a wonderful program, still is, and I think it'll be here forever. I hope that it will be. It's been my privilege to be an Elkhart Rotarian. I wear the pin proudly. I love all of you, not to be too messy about that, but I do. You bring me joy. And why is that so? Why do people stay 50 or more years? It's because of you. You are the movers, the shakers of this city and the community. You are the people that see a need and get it done. And over the years, we've built a number of buildings for people less able than ourselves. We are a generous group, and I thank you for all the time that I've had to speak to you. We'll look forward to hearing from Doug Putnam, my friend, next week. When I left here last Monday, I went to his house. He and I had a similar number. I lived on North Bay, he lived on Dogwood, but I rang his bell. Nothing happened. There was a light in the window. I thought, well, someone's home. After the second bell ringing, no one came to the door. I figured, no, they were in Florida. And that's where Doug and Millie were last week in Florida. So we'll look forward, Doug, to hearing you next week. I could say so much more, but I would just say it's been my privilege, and really 50 years seems more like 49.
And I have to admit, Anthony Hunt on the camera panning, it's sticky. It's for some reason, it's sticky. I need to fix that. And Shan, thanks for those words. And I'll just encourage everyone to get to know people. Like Shan said, get to know them outside of the club. Don't wait until you have to take them to the hospital. That's how Shan and I really met, right?
Yeah.
And but yes, thank you for your service, Doug. We look forward to hearing from you next week. Mr. Jim Rickoff, could you introduce today's speaker?
Our speaker today is a man of unusual achievements. Born and raised in South Boston, Mass., young Kevin Deary joined the Navy after his high school time. 4 years in the Navy, stationed in Italy for 3, he earned a spot on the Navy boxing team and competed internationally, so beware. After his military service, he took a job at a Boys and Girls Club in southern New Hampshire. That was the first of several, leading to his arrival here in Goshen, 1994, to become president and CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Elkhart County. When he arrived here, the organization had 1 location, 211 members, a budget of $93,000. 28 years later, 11 locations, 3,100 members, and a budget of $8 million. And for those of you that don't have your calculators out, that's an increase of 1,800%, 1,500%, and 8,800%, respectively. Unusual achievements, especially in the nonprofit world. For his community service efforts over the years, Kevin has been recognized separately as Executive Director of the Year, United Way, Executive Director of the Year, Boys and Girls Club of Indiana, Outstanding Young Hoosier, Indiana JCs, U.S. Congressional Johnny Appleseed Award, and Governor Kernan also named him Sagamore of the Wabash. Unusual achievements all. Kevin holds degrees from Goshen College and Clemson University. He's taught nonprofit leadership at Bethel University for several years. And of course, he was Teacher of the Year there in 2017. Finally, he's married to Jean, and they share 5 children and 8 grandchildren. So now it is my personal pleasure to call up for another return, we think this is 11th, to this microphone to talk to us about the Boys and Girls Club, the unusual achiever, my good and very big-hearted friend, Kevin Deary.
Good morning. This is my band of white. So as Eric gets ready, I brought some videos. We're going to start with a video.
When I'm here, I know I don't have to worry about anything. I have people watching out for me. I have people watching out for everybody. I never knew that I could be so interested in many different things.
Like the stuff we do with Miss Natalie, like Play-Doh and Blue Black.
I think I learned about myself is that I am very playful. I'm not just another one of the members here. Everybody stands out in their own way. You guys make everybody shine. I love the Boys and Girls Club.
This is the best place ever.
I love that video. That video particularly that we shot it in the Napanee Club, but really it speaks to what we do in all of our Boys and Girls Clubs. This is what happens every single day. So to inspire and empower all our children, especially those who need us the most, to reach the full potential and becoming productive, responsible, and caring citizens. And we're going to end at the end of my conclusion and my remarks with another video that talks about bringing people, enticing people to come to a career of Boys and Girls Clubs of social work, or even just community leadership, because it is very, very important. Many, we weren't born into nonprofit leadership. A lot of people think we were. We actually came to the mission, many of us from all walks of life, because we felt called. It was our mission, it was our ministry, and for many of us, this was our calling and our purpose for our life. First of all, I think this is the 10th or 11th time I've spoken to this esteemed group. It was one of the first public speaking opportunities I had in 1994. Back then I had a funny accent, being from South Boston. It's not bad, it's still there, especially when I say Indiana or Hod. So there are certain words, Pakta I still say, all that good stuff. But it's been my honor. This is my home. And I've been here now 28 years now. When I came, one of the first people I met was Judge Rickoff. Jim took the time from his busy time I wanted to learn about juvenile delinquents. I wanted to learn about what was Elkhart County's challenges with kids. I had come from the East Coast. I myself am an urban young man, which means I still have never touched a cow, pig, or horse. Unless it crosses my plate, I'm not touching it. So, not that I eat horse, because I don't. But it just tells you that I am. That's not my background. But Jim was kind enough to take time to kind of talk about the county. He knew I was from Goshen. Back then, we only had one Goshen club, and he was very patient with this 32-year-old wants to save the world young person who somehow ended up being the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Goshen. So when I started, they were actually boys clubs. We didn't change to become Boys and Girls Clubs until 1989. How sad is that we didn't recognize girls until 1989? I started my career in 1983 when it was only just boys clubs. So first thing I want to do, I want to thank Anthony for pointing out the fact that I have 117 board members. I have several that are here today. If you could stand up, Kathy, Jeff, Doug, who else is any of my board members here? Give them a round of applause. Oh, and Dawn in the back. Hi, Dawn. It's because of these fine people. We have boards in Goshen, Napanee, Middlebury, Elkhart, the county, and then we also have our foundation board. So it's hard enough working with one board. Working with 6 boards is much like running being a beehive and running 6 beehives. So very grateful, because we wouldn't be where we are without board members. So thank you for your time and your service and your patience with somebody like me. I see all my colleagues here. I forgot how many of my colleagues are here. It is so good to see all of you. I have the utmost respect for what you do every single day, because we have the same fears, the same joys, the same pains. We went through COVID together. We went through everything together, and we're still going through it together. And I cannot tell you how much I greatly admire and respect my colleagues in this county. The closeness of the nonprofits here is unbelievable. I mean, I don't see this in too many other places. Maybe, Bill, you see it in Crossroads, maybe because as you're starting to gel with the other counties, but I don't see that with any other counties. Even as my work around takes me around the whole state of Indiana, I don't see this level of closeness of trust. So it is indeed a pleasure to see all of you and to thank you. Do you know our Boys and Girls Club in Elkhart, which is our newest operation, is 13 years old now. 13 years. I made the announcement here that at Elkhart Rotary that we would be starting a Boys and Girls Club in Elkhart. Mark Bow and Curtis Hill were the two godfathers that helped us get this started. Curtis was tired of locking up kids. Mark was tired of seeing kids fail and struggle with families, and wanted to have just yet another outreach that we could possibly save more kids and help direct them to a positive life. That was 13 years ago. We opened up our club in 2017 at Beardsley, a brand new Boys and Girls Club, after working with Beardsley and with Oslo and Northside Middle School. We condensed them into now the Brian and Janelle Boys and Girls Club over on attached to Beardsley. I think in the future, there will be another Boys and Girls Club, probably on the far west side. It's in our strategic plan to build a teen center where the current ELKR High School is right now. You see this big turn towards workforce development, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I don't want to put my notes on this computer, Eric. I'm afraid I may just mess everything up. If you play it flat, it's good. Okay, I'm going to trust you. Okay. So let me talk a little bit about, I've written my notes to be past, present, and future. So let's talk, we talked a little bit about, we opened our doors in 2009 and how fast we're growing. So we have about 450 members of the Boys and Girls Club of ELKR. We have recently gone over to the new Freshman Academy, thanks to our partnership with ELKR Community Schools. And we opened up a freshman outreach because there's 1,000 freshmen in that school. We're so grateful that we can have a partnership with ELKR Community Schools that allows us to do this. We have a future, like I said, to build a club, a teen center. We'll do that in partnership with the schools as we move kids towards workforce development, which is such not only a buzzword, but it's important. If you've tried to find a mechanic or an electrician or a plumber or somebody who understands automotive, it's hard to find those skilled labor people, but it's so important that we help our kids find those tracks. I serve on the board of directors of Ivy Tech. I really believe in the mission of Ivy Tech and the ability to be able to help build this next level of skilled labor for us. There are so many people that go to Ivy Tech because they're trying to move from one industry to another, and they're getting the necessary skills to be able to move into the industry that we need in the future. So let's talk a little bit about the past again. Let's talk about COVID. I didn't want to talk about COVID, but I have to. COVID, when it hit in 2019, it took our company, the Boys and Girls Club, and cut us in half. We had 144 employees. Within 2 days, we shrunk to 72 within 2 days. Most of our money is fundraised, hard work money, as far as tithing, annual campaigns, and special events. So we had no idea how long this was going to last. We had to close our clubs. It was painful. We paid our staff for probably a month to stay home because we thought this would blow over, and it didn't. And then we could not continue to make that happen. So we ended up reopening. We closed the club in March. We opened up in June. When we opened up in June, we were one of the first Boys and Girls Clubs to reopen. We specifically targeted nurses, children, doctors, kids, firefighters, first responders, because at that early time of COVID, a lot of people thought that children were infected. So nobody wanted to take care of the kids. Yet we needed these nurses and doctors and EMTs on the front lines to help us with this incredible disease virus that was flowing through our country. So we opened back up, and we specifically targeted Goshen and ELKR hospitals to bring us not only your nurses' kids, but your people who work in the maintenance, people who work in the kitchens. We wanted to make sure that we opened up the doors and we took the children in. Keep in mind, this was 7 months before there was any vaccinations. So this was a big leap of faith that our board of directors and our staff took to make sure that we could open up. I want to specifically thank the Community Foundation and the United Way for how they responded to particularly the nonprofits with COVID. Their immediate funding for us to, first of all, we had never heard of Zoom. Remember that? We had never heard of PPEs, and then pretty known there was PPPs, and there was all sorts of acronyms. We had no idea. And the United Way and the Community Foundation responded immediately with us, immediately. If we didn't have Zoom, they taught us and got us on Zooms. If none of us had any direction of where we were going, we were all figuring it out, getting our information from the news like you were. But it was the local response that allowed us to be able to open up early. So a special thank you to the Community Foundation and the United Way for being, never forget, when we needed them the most, they were there. And always will be. So very grateful for that time period. It allowed us to be able to practice our mission during emergency times. You don't really know the value of a nonprofit until an emergency hits, because many of us are the underbelly of the for-profit world. We catch all the ones, the families, the kids, we catch everybody that falls into our net. It's our job to feed them, to house them, to make sure they have their medicine, to make sure that they have grief counseling, to make sure they have mental health, to make sure that kids have a safe place before and after school. That is what the nonprofits do. Many times we're dismissed as not important, but we're a critical part, as much as churches are, to this netting that catches those who need us the most. It's a critical part of our community. So we battled through COVID. I have to tell you that I'm so proud of my staff who worked so hard, and our board members who, along with their own companies and along with their own families, were trying to navigate through COVID, but yet they made sure that all our clubs were open and functioning, and that our staff had the supplies that they needed. I tell you what, I think we clean a lot, but nothing like COVID. Never seen anything like it. Our staff were cleaning constantly, temperature taking, cleaning. Do you remember you couldn't enter a building unless somebody took your temperature? You had to log in, log out. It was an incredible time for us. Something we'll tell our children and grandchildren. So we came through it. The schools, working with the schools, virtual education, we had never heard of it. Schools had to turn on a dime, and teachers suddenly were thrust into learning how to teach online. And how do you teach kindergarten kids online? How do you do that? So, but somehow our schools had to do that. And then moms and dads who were working had to figure out how to take care of their kids. And some of them may have been working at home, but they had to figure out they had to learn technology. And when you are a person who doesn't have a high level of education, and I have a high level of education, and I still need help with Zoom, you have to suddenly not only keep up with your children's work, but you have to figure out how they can send papers and how can they interact. And the teachers have 7 classes a day. How they did that on a dime is beyond me. But we at the Boys and Girls Club, we opened up and made sure that we helped fill the gap as best as we could, because many of our families still do not have technology at home. Actually, they may have technology, but they don't have broadband. They can't access the internet. So with us, they could. So that was very important as we came through that. It also cut our numbers drastically. And now if you flash forward to today in the present, we are rebuilding all of our clubs. Our total membership, average daily attendance, particularly our teens got scattered. We talk a lot about mental health and mental health with kids. I doubt if I asked you to raise your hand, and I'm not, but every one of us have struggled somewhere with confidence, with anxiety, with fear. Many of us have struggled with, at least for a short period, or you know somebody or live with somebody who struggles with some mental health. Mental health is not a stigma of negativity, it is just a fact. And it is no difference than any other physical illness but sometimes being able to talk to somebody to get your head straight makes a huge difference. What happens when you're 14 and 15 years old? But when you're 11 and 12 and you're going through puberty, your body is changing and nothing around you is the same. We forget how important routine is to our life. When kids didn't have a chance to go to school, it threw them into disarray. Now, I will tell you that many of them cheered. My grandchildren cheered, thought it was wonderful that they didn't have to go to school, but they quickly realized how much they missed their friends and how much they missed routine. And many of our children had to grow up faster than they really wanted to. And that has left an educational gap and also a mental health gap with many of our kids. And by the way, this goes across the board for African American to Latino to white to boy to girl to Mennonite to non-Mennonite. We have all felt this. So we're all rebuilding. We're all moving past where we were. Thank God that we have smart people that can figure out vaccinations and figure out the best way to help us navigate this. There were no easy answers, and particularly there were no easy answers with children. I remember the most difficult question I had talking with some of our kids was they asked why, and I couldn't answer that. So now we're going to flash forward to the future. Workforce development, making sure that we have a place for our kids in our workforce, to stop pushing kids to four-year schools that aren't ready. And I'm just as guilty as that, because I didn't go to school till late in life. Therefore, I thought, well, if I had gone to school earlier, maybe I would have had, maybe it would have been different for me. Well, I'm pretty happy with how it all turned out with me. I think it's funny, Jim said that I'm holding degrees. I am, I'm just holding it for somebody else. But what a privilege it is to go to school and to be able to graduate from institutions of higher knowledge. We're trying to close the gap, educational gap. We're a long way from that. That year and a half where our kids were out of school or in virtual world, they're behind. And it's no fault of anything other than being behind. I'm sure when the Spanish flu was here in 1918, they had the same issues. When World War I, World War II, there was an educational gap. For us, one of the most important things is unity. We don't practice diversity. We just don't. We believe in unity every day. I've been here 28 years, and our African American children, our Asian children, our Latino children, our white children only know unity. That's what we practice. They're always amazed when they see all the differences in the world, and yet inside of our clubs, they are safe, loved, and respected. In the future, we're hoping to expand Boys and Girls Clubs around the county, particularly maybe working with Jimtown, working with ELKR on the far west side. We are very excited about our future. I'm very grateful to the folks that helped us get here today. And I see my friend, Dr. Tom over there. He was another one who helped us. Dr. Neat, thank you very much for the things you did. I remember my first meeting in Oslo, and you stood right next to me with those parents, and you took some heat with me, and I'll never forget that. So thank you, Dr. Neat. And that was to start a club in Oslo. Let me just say that I will be retiring in December, and there'll be a new CEO to lead this organization. Our board members have started that search process. So it has been a pleasure and an honor. I'm retiring after 39 years of Boys and Girls Club work. I have been blessed. I just want to say thank you to ELKR Rotary for all you have done for our children. The children are still coming, so continue to take care of the children. Thank you. Let me take some questions. No questions. I love that. I love that. Okay, thank you. Oh, hold on. Anthony, I should have known.
What do you see as a way to be engaging kids moving forward? I mean, for one thing, the major thing, the world has changed, and you have a smartphone. And how do you still continue to engage?
Well, I'll tell you what it is, Anthony. The answer to that is it's still a people business. So this last video answers that question. It is about people making adults making differences with children, And this last video is a short one, but it tells you why maybe you should think about a career change and come work at a nonprofit.
The reason I come to the Boys and Girls Club is to be with you. You are the youth development professional. Doesn't that sound important? This is a really big title. It has to be important.
You are important.
You are more than just a staff at Boys and Girls Club.
At the club, you play so many roles. A coach, a teacher, a party planner, and so many more.
And the most important role you play is a mentor. My mentor.
You're with kids. Pretty amazing kids. Me being most amazing, of course.
Take this opportunity to make a positive impact to my life.
Be someone I can count on. Be someone who can inspire me.
Help me believe in myself. You have what it takes.
Take an interest in me. Did I mention how amazing I am? I'm so talented, clever, and creative.
I may not have realized my full potential.
Get to know me, my dreams and goals, and you share yours with me.
You know, you're pretty amazing yourself.
Sometimes I just need someone to notice me.
Notice when I'm having a bad day. Tell me I'm doing a good job or I look good in my new shirt.
Listen to how I'm feeling.
Let me know you care.
Tell me everything's gonna be okay.
Be patient. Do you remember when you were a kid? You didn't have everything figured out. I don't either.
I'm gonna make mistakes. Forgive me. Help me out.
I need your understanding.
Don't take my frustrations hard. Sometimes it's easier to push you away than getting let down. I need to know you'll be there and you won't give up on me.
Let's laugh, play, and have fun. Why don't you be silly with me like this?
This is a challenging job, but I know you're the best person for it. I would have chosen you if I didn't know your potential.
You have the power to make a difference.
You were born to do something great.
Any other questions?
It's not a question.
Okay.
I want to say thank you. For me, and I expect many others here, had no idea what Boys and Girls Club, what you were doing behind the scenes in this pandemic. To allow our nurses, our doctors, our EMTs, our maintenance men and women to be able to go to the and save how many, and I don't know how many lives you saved, but it was hundreds, if not thousands and more. That was made possible in a large measure for what Boys and Girls Clubs did behind the scenes, and for me and from others who had no idea this was going on. A heartfelt thank you.
Kevin, thank you. And I'm telling you, man, you guys are stepping up the marketing videos. Those are good. I'm gonna go back and take some pictures of flowers. And they are nowhere near as cute or charming as those kids are. I gotta work on that. Eric Ames, we gotta figure something out. We got any talking plants back there? We gotta work on those. Sure, you have a question or a comment?
Kevin, first of all, thank you very much for your service. It's remarkable and greatly appreciated. Do you track the young people that come through your program? Do you know and do you have a log of history of the young people? In other words, if you have a youngster coming in at the age of 60 or 16 or 6, you follow them, you know where they are when they get to young adults. So we do have an alumni Facebook page. Social media has allowed us to stay. That's made it a lot easier. Sometimes our kids leave, but most of our Boys and Girls Club kids stay in this town. They're not brain drained. They stay here. And I have been here long enough to see the children of my club children coming to the club now. So we stay very connected through our alumni page and also through our alumni program. But we also know when you go back to see your favorite teacher and you say thank you for saving my life, our staff get that all the time when they bump into them at Kroger's or Martin's, that they see these staff members and they just got to cut it off, Andy.
Yeah,
so I there we dropped bandwidth.
I saw it drop, and not much we could do.
Okay, talk to you later.
Thank you.